all of you, but Mike Moeller for taking the time and to bringing this cooker over here. So let's give Mike Moeller a big round of applause, man. I kind of doubted him just a little bit, but he came through. he came through, man, and I appreciate that. Also, we have Roscoe, Grant Designs. Let's give them a round of applause. They came through. That was huge for us. I know he's got some. Also for the donation, we got a cool T-shirt we're gonna draw for.
Yeah, a couple decals as well.
Couple decals, yeah. So check him out. Got some cool decals over there. Again, I'll turn the mic over, but I want to thank all of you again, and I'm just really excited about this. I know Rich is here. You know, I think Rich is blown up, so we're glad he's here. Richard Soul. Let's give him a round of applause. I know he's been biting at the bit to get back up here, and Rich has done some great work, man. Anyway, I'll turn the time over. I think Brother Derek wants to say something, and I think he's going to turn the mic over to Sue, our coordinator. So let's give Derek Webster, co-founder of Rez Squatching Research, a round of applause here. I hope.
Every day, one good. Oh, okay. This is my system. I've been running it for the last 3 years, so I just got done eating a cheeseburger, man. So I told Tanner, he's talking all the way down. I wanted to show him a little hut down there, and Tanner sounded like a grown man all the way down there on the way back. What do you think about that hut, Tanner? Yeah. Hey, I see you right with me. You sound off like you got a pair. But first of all, I want to say good morning, good afternoon to everybody. Welcome to Big Out Park. This is kind of like our headquarters. These cabins over here are for rent. So get a hold of us or get a hold of Mike Tyndall. They have a lot of good hunting, deer, pheasant, quail, turkey, Bigfoot. No. Today I'm glad to see this many show up. We got our brother Rich Soul.
Oh.
Here again, man. He's been there with us from day one. Him and Paul. I haven't seen Paul in a while, but these guys been in the trenches when it was 24 below zero, and we were out doing our research, doing our 30-day experiments every day, same clothes, same gifting. We tried everything, whatever we thought of, whatever we read about, we tried it. Boom, boom, boom. So we've been doing this for over 10 years, you know. To me, I'm hooked. I'm hooked from what I've seen, from what I witnessed, and from what I heard. So today we try to gather as much evidence as we can for our expedition. You'll be able to see some videos. You'll be able to hear some of our audios now. Footprints are dime a dozen now. I don't know about Matt Moneymaker, and you hear Wood Knock every 3 months, and I think their series got canceled, didn't it?
This is last season.
Oh, this
I just
is-
stopped at Cliff. This little bit they're having coming up now is their last season. They're cutting it off.
Okay.
It costs too much to produce their little, whatever it is they do.
Okay. Thank you, Terry. But today, man, I'm glad. I just got off of work at 8 o'clock this morning and came down, helped set up our meet and greet for Rez Squatching Research, and I'm looking around and I'm seeing a lot of these sweaters. I'm seeing everybody has the same interest, and I'm glad you guys joined our page. I'm glad you guys are members. We need to start getting you guys here and get you some activity, get you some experience, that way you have your own memory. That's what it's about. I know Terry's a testimony, walking testimony. He was here for the last expedition. He's been here for a tour, night ops tour. You know, Terry pretty much witnessed it all, just about. I think you heard the wood knocks too, didn't you?
We seen the wood knocks, we heard them what they call that, some people call that samurai talk where they're mumbling.
Oh, the
back.
chattering,
The chatter.
samurai chatter.
I actually found a footprint,
Yeah.
the handprints on my Jeep the next morning.
Yeah.
And then where that little white dead tree is right there with the little branch that sticks off to the right, if you look at that barrel, it's straight across there. When I pulled in at 3:30 in the morning, there was one standing in front of that tree, not one night, 2 nights in a row.
Uh-huh.
And he's like between 10 and 12 feet, the gray one.
Uh-huh. But I don't want to take up too much time here. We got some activities going on, and I think we're going to go out and do a little bit of a day squatch. I took a crew out earlier to see something that we found last year, and we found some more here. So we're going to trek up this way. But I want to announce one of our brothers, one that's been here from day one with us, Richard Soul. He's making a lot of moves in the Bigfoot world. This is Richard Soul.
Thank you. Okay, well, am I holding this in the right? Everybody hear me okay? Is this good, Sam? I'd just like to thank everybody. Is it closer? Right here, okay. Yeah, thanking everybody for coming out today. This is kind of where it all started for us, really, when we were, first night camp out we did, when we did an overnight, was just back here in the timber back here, and there on my SoundCloud account you could hear, which is linked to my website. Let me kind of take a step back and kind of tell you a little bit about the past, the history, kind of what we've been doing here with Rez Squatching. But on my website is the Knox Giga study, and that's where I have all my. Where I have all my. Is it kind of cutting out?
Yeah.
Do I need to hold it probably just like this, right? Okay, on my website I have a lot of recordings of audio, and then every time we've ever done an expedition here, I have that also a journal that I write, a narrative of each one of the expeditions. And the first time we did a camp out, an overnight, we had done it back in here in the timber, and we had some really interesting calls. They were essentially, one was like about 1:45 at night, and then the other one was about 7 in the morning. And I know Dee had to go to work, so he was leaving, and Barry and I were up, and we were listening, and all of a sudden we could hear it from a distance kind of coming towards us. And so I had actually turned off my recording equipment, so I had to turn it back on real quickly. And it was very interesting. We've had them checked out. It was something that really just, I thought, this was the real deal. We got we recorded about 15 minutes of this howl, and I think on my website it's called the Omaha Bushman, I think is what I had titled that one. But just one of the first experiences we had here when we were doing some overnights. Since then, we moved everything into the cabins primarily, and then we do some remote camping. I want to talk a little bit about that too. But first, I want to kind of go into some things before I go into all of the Rez Squatching things that we've done here. I wanted to go back into some of the research that I've done. I was on the first BFRO expedition here in Nebraska, and they haven't had one since then. And I know Dee was just talking about that the show was going to be canceled. And I think it's ironic that they're going to be focusing on their next season will be more in the Native American, from what I understand. They're going to be looking at the Native American approach, and they're going to be doing a show based on that. So here, Rez Squatching is very cutting edge because it's taken the BFRO, how many years, 8 years to come full circle and come to what we've been doing here for a long time. So just wanted to kind of point that out. I thought that was interesting, but Barry and Dee have been doing this for a long time, and finding Bigfoot, had they come here before, they might have found it a long time ago. So anyway, interesting little side note. But I think the future is, and it always has been here on the Omaha Rez and doing the Native American approach. I think the things that have been going on here, we know historically the language, the Omaha language being spoken to them, that they do relate to that. Barry and Dee both do a great job with doing that. And then we've done some things with music. We've done some other things that I think has been very respectful to them, and I think that's the approach that we continue to do as we move forward, that we create this relationship. The past, there had been a long relationship in the past, and this is kind of a reconnection that Rez Squatching's been doing. In my own personal history, I grew up, one of the places that I lived in was in near Kearney, Nebraska, and when I was a kid, similar to the young guys up here, I would walk the Platte River, and that's just something we used to do as kids. We'd go down the river and walk the Platte. Well, I had my own experiences there. I'd seen on the sandbar there was a sandhill crane, so I went and checked out the sandhill crane and was getting a real close look at it. It had passed away. Well, at that time, I was thinking to myself, I'm not alone here. I'm in the woods, but on the river. But I don't really feel like that I'm the only one here. Like, I get this impression that I'm not the only person here. As a matter of fact, there's something possibly observing me out here. I did the same thing when I was on the Elkhorn River, which isn't very far from here. We used to look for mushrooms there near West Point and Wisner. Same kind of feeling, as a kid, you're out in the woods and you're like, I just don't feel like I'm the only one here. I feel like there's another presence here. There's something is watching me, and it was something that kind of stuck with me. And then as an adult, I had actually some experiences in the 70s and 80s when I was younger that I did have Bigfoot experience in these areas, and some of these areas I just talked about, but I really didn't have any connection to that. I couldn't really relate to it, that they would be here. I knew at the time I was getting reports from South Dakota up in the it was in northern South Dakota. I was getting reports that were in the newspaper, and so I kept them. I still have these reports, and so I always had a fascination. I thought, Bigfoot could be in the Midwest here, but it was kind of questionable because there wasn't a whole lot of information that was going out. We know now there's a long history of that, and that continues, and that they are here. They're in these Loess Hills, and they're also in the tributaries, the rivers here in Nebraska. Nebraska has the most miles of river than any state in the country, and I just thought it was ironic that we never had we only had one BFRO expedition. I don't want to beat up the BFRO, but I'm just it's ironic that they didn't come to the state with the most miles of river, and clearly we have tons of activity here, so just had to get one more jab in, I guess. But at any rate, we will move on, and Rez Squatching has a lot of great things happening. I kind of want to jump forward, and I don't want to talk too terribly long, but the research that's going on right now, I gave a speech at the Nebraska conference, and we had Bob Gimlin there. That was a pretty big deal. I got to meet him. But the big thing about that was it was to me almost like kind of a handoff of the of this race that is the search for Bigfoot. And I had came across some very good information that tied together with research that was done by Dr. Sykes and with Zana and the Almasty, which is the Russian counterpart, the Russian Bigfoot. And I gave my speech on that, and it got quite a bit of attention. I was featured in the Bigfoot Times, which is Daniel Perez has done that. It's the oldest publication for Bigfoot information. And from that, quite a bit has came of that. Then Dr. Bertseff actually had written a paper, and that recently had made the rounds, and there's some videos about that out there. But what I wanted to clarify is what I was able to link the research to was to this haplogroup in sub-Saharan Africa. And what we had found is that the DNA from the Zana, that there was a DNA study in 2013 has the same sub-Saharan African DNA as what we believe to be a very archaic gene haplogroup that is from a not anything related to, it's even more wildly archaic than Denisovian or Neanderthal. So it's really a big deal. I believe that when we go back and do this research, we're going to connect and we're going to find that the origin of Bigfoot, we're going to have an actual blueprint origin of Bigfoot from sub-Saharan Africa. And so the plan is now is to move forward, and Dr. Bertsev, hopefully with the political climate, he will be able to come here. I know Barry's been in communication with him, and I have also. We're hoping that he can be here in May. But he's also really given the go-ahead to try to get this research completed and tie together some of this DNA evidence that I was able to link to the sub-Saharan African haplogroup. So I know it sounds kind of, remote from what we're doing here, but really this will be the foundation for all the research done in the future. I truly believe this. I believe that the answers to the big question is what is the origin of Bigfoot? We will have a blueprint for that. We will be able to do DNA evidence, and all the hard work that we've been doing will be validated in the scientific community. The other point of this that I wanted to bring up is when we talked to Dr. Bertsev, the only person that he felt was going to be able to do this DNA study in the way that he believed would be done credibly was Dr. Melba Ketchum. And we know, we haven't heard a whole lot about her recently, but I've always thought she did very sound research. There's been a lot of negative things out there that have came out against her, but I truly believe this will tie all of her research that she's done together, and we will have a common haplogroup that is very archaic, that is in sub-Saharan Africa, that will tie all this together. So I totally believe that Melba Ketchum is the person too. If Dr. Bertsev believes that, I believe that too, and I think that'll be that'll get us there. I think that she, as a pioneer, had to go out and first publicly address this with genetic information that a lot of people weren't ready to hear, and that's unfortunate because I think she did take a lot of negative feedback from that really a lot of people would just have walked away and never came back and tried to take this on. So I have a lot of respect if she's going to come back and try to get this done for us. So that's a really big deal. The other thing is, Terry kind of briefly talked about that, but we've had so much activity here on the Omaha Rez. This is their ancestral home of the Bigfoot and the Sea Tonga, and we know that, and they've been here long before any of us are here, and they're going to continue to be here. But this is the riparian forest that has, I believe Dee was just leading some people to a cave, so we have wet and dry cave systems that are here, and this is a part of their ecosystem. They also have the Missouri River, which they swim. We've had observations of them swimming in the river. We know they're excellent swimmers. They eat the fish in the river there, and they're able to fish. And they kind of like the soft organs that are in the deer and everything. And we've had that happen over here when we were doing deer hunting season when we had our expedition last year. I'm pretty sure that's what brought the bigger guy in. There was Terry had said he saw a very large 10 or 12 foot tall Bigfoot back in the Sea Tonga back by the cabin there, and I truly believe he was waiting around for some of these entrails of the hunters that were here. So we have a really good idea. People say there's no experts in this particular field, but one thing that Einstein had said is that knowledge is experience. And we have a lot of people that are very experienced here. Dee and Barry have done a lot of hard work of getting back into the bush here and having very close encounters. I think all of us now, Dee, Barry, and I both, after August, have been physically touched by them. We got, Barry and I both, I think, had our foot grabbed in our tent that we were at up in Camp Hard Knock. So that was quite an experience. So, I think there's, if knowledge is experience, then we have a lot of knowledge here. We got a lot of great things moving forward, and there's a lot of positive things for Rez Squatching for the future. So I didn't want to take up too much time, but I really thank you all for having me here today. And, if we have in the question and answer section. Certainly we'll be able to answer more specific things for you. I'll turn it over to Barry again here, and hello, everyone.
Let's give this man a round of applause. He's done some really good work, so thank you, bro. I know a lot of you ate, so if we could we have a word of prayer before we eat? Then we'll move on with the program, and I'll turn it over to Sue. So bear with me here. I'll say the prayer, the grace over the food. So.
Oh, Diho, Obey. So grateful for this opportunity here to come together and to meet new people and to share fellowship and share stories and to do the thing that we all have and the passion and that interest. And we're grateful for, again, all those people who helped make this possible. Bless our families and bless this food that it may nourish and give our bodies the strength we need. And again, we're so grateful for this opportunity, and we give thee all the praise. And we say this humbly in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
So go ahead and let's form a line.
Let's eat.